Until 1985, the yearly Maze Kit product has been a replica of some piece of wireless gear used in the Spark days. By international agreement, no new Spark transmitters were to be installed in commercial stations until after 1927, except for transmitting distress signals from ships at sea. And by 1930, practically all of the commercial Spark stations had been replaced by CW equipment. There were few, if any, tape recorders available at that time, so except for a very few messages that were recorded on Edison phonograph cylindrical records, there are no records of the sound of the old Spark transmitters as copied on receivers. This was a most interesting period in the development of wireless, both commercial and amateur, because of the distinctive notes of the Spark transmitters, which were so different from the sound of CW signals. To make a true record of the Spark signals, I built a 1/2 kilowatt Spark transmitter using a 2 kilowatt 800 cycle inductor alternator driven by a 1.5 horsepower induction motor through a variable speed drive that produced AC frequencies from 40 to 500 cycles, which covered the range used by the early sets. In many of the coast stations, as many of the coast stations were not serviced by 60 cycle power, they had their own engine-driven alternators, which were usually of higher frequency, 120, 240, 360, and 500 cycles being popular frequencies. Using a synchronous spark gap, the tone of the transmitted signal varies with the power frequency. The two parts of this tape were made using this equipment, which the old-timers said sounded essentially like the stations being represented. The signals were transmitted about 40 feet, picked up by a receiver, and recorded on tape. The first part illustrates operation on the 600-meter, 500 kilocycle band when several commercial stations are on at once, as all ship-to-shore stations operated at close to this frequency. The second part represents a typical transmission from station KPH, the American Marconi station located at San Francisco in 1916, then using a 5 kilowatt Spark transmitter. It includes news items sent to all ships at sea equipped with Marconi gear, list of ship call letters for which KPH had traffic, and transmissions to KHK at Honolulu and to the British ship Nile, call letters VRE. The 1/2 kilowatt transmitter is now in the New England Wireless and Steam Museum, and the two principal operators who cut the tape, Frank Geisel and Richard Johnstone, have for several years been silent keys. This tape was assembled in December of 1985. Signed, Thorne Mays, General Manager, Maze Kits. In the early days of wireless, prior to World War I, most ship-to-shore traffic was on the 600-meter wavelength, so all stations operated at close to the same frequency. Frequently, several stations would be on at once, and communication was possible only because of the distinctive notes of the Spark transmitters, which could be copied through the interference. The next tape illustrates this condition. It was made by 3 members of the wireless pioneers. Dick Johnstone, who was an operator at KPH from 1914 until the Navy took over the station in 1917, takes the part of the operator on the SS Topeka, WGY. He calls the coast station KPM at Eureka, California, and Thorne Mays takes the message. Frank Geisel, who for many years was manager of station KPH until he retired, is operator on the steamer Tenyu Maru, JTY. He calls KPH, transmits a lengthy message, then, as the operator at KPH, he answers with his bug. Frank was well known on the Pacific Coast for his excellent fist, and this transmission from KPH is a good example. Dick Johnstone was an operator at the American Marconi Hillcrest San Francisco station, KPH, 1914 to 1917. He recently found a copy of the Marconi press he sent the evening of July 24, 1916. Cliff Nichols, then operator on the SS China in the South Pacific, copied the press and entered the incident in his log. As the material is authentic and typical of operation in those days, it was selected by 3 wireless pioneer members as the subject for a short tape of KPH. Commander Richard Johnstone takes the part of KPH operator as he was in 1916. Frank Geisel, KHK Honolulu, and Earl Wohler, VRE, the Nile. The tape was made to record the sounds of the old spark transmitters that were outlawed by international agreement over 40 years ago. It was cut using a 1/2 kilowatt variable frequency spark transmitter built by Thorn May's W6AX. Spark tones were determined from early records and the memories of men who operated the sets. This tape was assembled for the Wireless Pioneers Annual Picnic held at Walnut Creek, California, Saturday, August 22, 1970, and to honor Commander Richard Johnstone, R.J., the retiring first president of the Wireless Pioneers.